Welcome to Jesus Changes Everything, a daily podcast dedicated to providing a fresh look at the ancient and glorious truth that Jesus not only reigns, but is busy about the business of bringing all things under subjection, that celebrates the wonder and the glory that he has been given all authority in heaven and on earth. In the summer of 1971, my family moved from Cincinnati, Ohio, to Ligonier, Pennsylvania. My father had served for 2 years on the staff of College Hill Presbyterian Church, and while he served there, we made some friends. Some of those friends that we made have made appearances in our Forever Friends segments, and that's going to happen again today. Some of those friends journeyed with us. In fact, my closest friend growing up, Randy Gooder, was a part of a family that was there in Cincinnati with us and came a couple years into the study center experiment, and he was a year older than me, and we spent lots and lots of time together having a great time. But not everybody came, and I thought it would be a fitting and appropriate thing to mention some that came from time to time. One of the sort of holiday traditions that we had, interestingly intersecting with the Gooder family, is that for several years, many years, every Christmas season, after Christmas and into New Year's, there were two families that would come and visit the Sprouls and the Gooders at the Ligonier Valley Study Center from Cincinnati. One of those families was the Crumrine family, and the other family, I cannot believe I can't remember their last name. But the Crumrines had two sons who were friends to me during that time period, and the other family had a son also, Andy. I got his first name, I just don't have his second name, which is just really sad. But I remember them when we lived in Cincinnati. In fact, I remember going to a Little League game for Mike Crumrine when I was 5 years old. But it was more those times when they would come at the holiday season that I remember them for, because they joined in with just the kind of great fun you would have in wintertime in western Pennsylvania, whether it would be ice skating on Campbell's Lake or roasting marshmallows on a fire inside the house. Those kinds of things were a part of our time, and it really was a huge group thing. Like Kip Crumrine, for instance, he was probably 4 years older than me, but he was in tight with my sister, who's also 4 years older than me, and Bill Thompson, who I've talked about in the past. And so there's this older crowd, and then there was the crowd that I was in, and both, Kip was 4 years older than me, Mike, his brother, and Andy were both a couple years older than me, but it was just, there was, football games with just all these kids and out in the cold, and it was just a great deal of fun. We would also hang together on New Year's Eve night. We would all get together. The parents would have a New Year's Eve party, and the kids would hang out together and stay up till midnight. And one year we actually reversed the trip. The Gooders and the Sprouls made their way to Cincinnati back to see those old friends, and I just have crystal clear memories of those times. I remember getting pizza at Shakey's Pizza. I can even remember what that pizza tasted like. Now, I don't think I've talked to any of these folks in probably 30 or more years, maybe 35 years, maybe, no, more than 40 years, probably. Kip Crumrine, I know for many years, and he may still do so. He actually moved to Ligonier, Pennsylvania, and ran a ministry for youth there. And he was kind of, I don't know, as a 4 years older than me, he was kind of the guy that you just looked up to and wanted to be like. And I'm not sure what happened with Mike or with Andy. I do know this about Andy. Andy and his sister happened to, at some point, go to a concert in Cincinnati. They went to go hear The Who play in Cincinnati. And if you are a rock aficionado, you will probably remember that it was a tragedy happened. Because they had open seating for this concert, there were so many people eager to get to the front when the doors were open that there was a stampede and people actually died. Well, they were there for that moment, and I remember that about them. I can't say anything especially positive about their characters. I can say that I enjoyed them. I can say that and maybe that's the point. I look back at those times together, just having that kind of fun together and that kind of connection together. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful for those memories. I was just so many ways that I was blessed growing up at the Ligonier Valley Study Center. I just cannot begin to scratch the surface of them. But again, so much of it was long-term, extended relationships that even survived distance. So I want to thank wherever you might be out there. Andy, please forgive me for not getting your name. I remember you had twin sisters, too, that were closer to my age, Paige and something, and Kip and Mike. God bless you all. A few days ago, on another segment of the Jesus Changes Everything podcast, I brought to you part 1 of what I like to call my literary DNA. My 23 writers that made me. And I found as I was thinking through them that I made my way through 11 of them before I ran out of time. So today I would like to finish this list. Coming in at number 12, J.D. Salinger. J.D. Salinger. I don't give a rip or a hoot about his wisdom. But his dialogic rhythm is like Thelonious Monk. Even his internal monologues are dialogue. Number 14, P.G. Wodehouse. I'd suggest that he joins Lewis and Chesterton in the holy trinity of wordsmithing. Though that's word P-S-M-I-T-H-I-N-G. Plus, there's no one more fun to read. Number 15, Dorothy Sayers. The Margaret Thatcher of writers. Enough said. Number 16, Richard Weaver, whose dissertation is a eulogy for a nation, and his most famous work, a world-changing call to arms. Number 17, Gordon Clark, who is the greatest philosopher of the 20th century, and whose exposition of the pre-Socratic philosophers has proven over the years to become the Rosetta Stone of my own worldview. Through him, it's Parmenides and Heraclitus. Number 18, Jean Edward Veith, a living Paul Johnson. Deep historical insight to go along with a style that goes down easy as silk. Number 19. This is a little embarrassing that he's so far down the line. St. Augustine. St. Augustine was the first man to discover the true key to writing well. He was the first to open a vein and bleed. Number 20, Francis Turretin. I describe him this way. Turretin is Calvin filtered through the diligently ordered mind of an accountant. He, too, is a great spiritual grandfather because it's he that was the genius behind the Princeton theologians. Number 21, Anthony Burgess, lover of language and lover of humanity. Number 22, the inimitable Ian Murray. Never once have I read a sentence from Ian Murray and thought to myself either, what does that mean? Or, what does that matter? Finally, number 23, John Krakauer. I have zero interest in mountain climbing, in disaffected youth, in Mormon splinter groups, or battles against jihadis. But I love reading whatever this man writes about. Let me again ask you to send me a note, send me an email. You can send it to hello@gmail.com. You don't have to come up with 23. You can make it 5. You can make it 10. You can make it 17. Whatever you want to make it. Send me a message and let me know the writers that shaped who you are. Not just that you enjoyed, but who shaped who you are. And tell me why. You've been listening to the Jesus Changes Everything podcast, a production of Dunamis Fellowship, the teaching outreach of Dr. R.C. Sproul Jr. If you've enjoyed this podcast, we encourage you to subscribe, which you can do at all the usual outlets, to tell your friends, and to spread the word. To learn more about the work of Dunamis Fellowship, please visit rcsproulJR.com and join us next time on Jesus Changes Everything.